All right. Good morning, Chair Postman, Member Garrett, staff, and attendees. The recording is open and the recording has begun and the lobby's open.
Thanks, Dustin. Good morning, everybody. We will convene the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board meeting for March 30th, 2022. Our first item is approval of the meeting minutes from the March 16th meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval of the March 16th board meeting minutes.
Great. Member Garrett moves and I will second, so that is approved. We're now going to hear from Jeff Kildall, our Cannabis Policy and Rules Coordinator, on I don't know if you have others besides the presentation for the 102, but I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay. Good morning, Chair Postman and Member Garrett. Today, I would like to request your approval of a CR 102 package proposing amendments to current rules in WAC section 314.55.108 concerning cannabis pesticide testing action levels. These proposed rule changes would update technical chemical isomer information in WAC 314.55.108 for several pesticides currently allowed for use in the production of cannabis. Other changes to this rule would update rule language to ensure consistency with recently adopted cannabis quality control testing rules, including removal of language concerning the remediation of cannabis products that have failed quality control testing. Finally, the proposed rule amendments would remove redundant language from the rule and would replace the term quality assurance testing with quality control testing. We received approximately 6 written comments regarding the CR 101 for this rulemaking. The comments have been collected in a table and included in this rule package as attachment A. The CR 101 for this project was approved and filed on February 2nd, 2022 as WSR 2204-116. If approved today for filing, the public hearing would be held on May 11th, 2022, and we would tentatively bring a CR 103 to you for consideration on May 25th, 2022, assuming that no substantive comments are made to the proposal. Under this timeline, the rule would become effective 31 days after, on June 25th, 2022. And that concludes my presentation, and may I answer any questions on this rulemaking?
Any questions, Member Garrett? I just would say, and we've talked about the two pieces of this, but just for everybody's sake of clarity here, this is essentially kind of a trailer measure to the bigger quality assurance work that you've been working on for so long, Jeff. This is really the more technical side of it and clarifying some of that language. Adoption of this isn't changing in any way what we did with the big package for quality assurance. Am I understanding all of that right?
Yes, that's really correct. The changes to the technical language concerning isomers was something that needed to be done just to bring the information current regarding the chemistry side of this. And then the other changes are to make sure that the section conforms to the rule changes in 314.55.101 and 314.55.102. So it's just lining it up so that there's not a conflict there.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Appreciate that. And then seeing no more questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve the CR 102 for pesticide action levels.
I move approval of the CR 102 for pesticide action levels.
Member Garrett moves and I will second, so that is approved. Thanks, Mr. Kildall.
Thank you.
We're moving right along today to the part of the meeting where we have general public comment. A couple of reminders. Each speaker will be given 4 minutes to talk. At 3 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll be reminded of the time deadline coming up by Dustin. He's going to break in, so just be prepared for that. And when you hear him, Just realize that means you have 30 seconds left, and if you could wrap up, that would be great, so we can get through everybody give everyone a fair amount of time. Ask you to just say your name clearly and your affiliation for the record. And as always, all our meetings are taped, and you'll be able to find this online soon after we're done. And with that, and we'll give you each, it sometimes takes a minute to connect the next speaker, so just we'll be patient if you will as well. Our first speaker signed up this morning is Christopher King. We are not hearing you at this point, Mr. King. I see that you are unmuted, but we're not hearing you. You may have your device muted. Okay, we're going to come back to you, Mr. King, in just a second. I'll move to our next person signed up is Sammy Saad. Go ahead, Mr. Saad. I saw you there for a second.
Can you hear me speaking?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I want to speak about we go in a limbo every time. We are the people we've been lost our shop because of racism from the LCB. I'm one of those the first black people owning those shops. My respect for all of you guys, but it's still you guys not solving this problem. And I told you guys a lot of protests. It was in front of Uncle I's, thousands of people there, and a lot of people in mosque. And they said it those shops it will be robbed because there is no equality, and you guys putting people in danger. You guys talking now about safety, and this is what part of those shops is being robbed about the hate, and this is damaging the community. And the general attorney, he should know that what's going on. And without you guys acknowledging us, those previous shops, we lost thousands of dollars, more than 150,000. That's my loss. We've been renting shops. We've been before 2010. We've been in this business before the LCB. None of us being acknowledged yet. And you guys say we having additional shop, and it was the 13th shop. It was in Olympia back then. And the bill is fail. It should fail. And they still make it pass. And they promise they're going to have a social equity group. We've been used by those groups. I've been used before that by Ellie Garrett. She's with you guys representing us, but she do not represent us. She's not for us. And she had told me publicly in a Lucian Center, I will help you, Mr. Saad. Let me get your information. I called 3 weeks later. She said, do not call this phone ever again. Are you guys kidding me? This is the same thing, the social equity group. They met with my community. I am Sudanese American. I am black, yes, but I'm from somewhere else. We are more than 65,000 Washingtonian. Can we be acknowledged and get my weed shop or whatever you call it professionally, marijuana or cannabis, as is being said to be legally? We've been exist before anyone. I still file my taxes with the state as zero. So I being current. Second thing is a lot of bad marijuana on those shops because they get it. It is not good. You guys should acknowledge that and go randomly to those shops to be tested. They have a lot of bad stuff, missing up people and people getting sick. You guys have to be careful. Second thing is you guys should know that. I'm going to tell you guys that publicly. 80% of the product on the shelf come from the black market and they repackage it. So, and there is no quality in this. And this is, if it's being moldy or stay longer, it affect people. We've been knowing about growing since we growing up. We have farms we grow, and we used to grow marijuana on the side for our personal use. My uncle used to do that in our own farm. My father owned this. So we're not better than anyone, but there's a lot of bad stuff in the market. The second thing is we are not being acknowledged yet. Are you guys aware of that? That's why we filed the lawsuit. We want to work with you guys, but nobody want to work with us. Nothing against anyone. Nothing against anyone, but it's not right. We are being left, and we're being cut off, and we're being used. I own 12 greens since day one before the LCB. Are you guys gonna acknowledge us on those licensing? Not even the 300, the 39 license, just like Uncle Ike's and Uncle whatever, Uncle, oh, they all white, and nothing against white. And the other thing is too, I'm mixed with a little Jewish. There is no Jewish religion.
I mean, that's your time.
Israeli, but most of them for the Israeli people. Why? That's not fair. That's not fair for that. I'm not against them, but you guys gonna bring hate to the community, though.
Your 4 minutes is up.
The black people is not being acknowledged. We're not being acknowledged. Can you guys acknowledge us and test those market?
Yep.
This is not right. It's not fair. The same song we're gonna sing to you,
sir. Yeah, we're gonna have to move on to our next speaker. Let's go back to try Christopher King. Mr. King, are you there? Okay, it looks to me like you're unmuted at this point on the Teams site, Mr. King, but if we're not able to hear you, I would look on the mute on either your whatever device you're on, phone or computer or whatever. That may be also muted. The double muting gets us all the time. We'll give you a sec to try to figure that out. Okay. Again, we're going to move on to the next. We'll come back to you again, Mr. King. Next person signed up is Mike Asai.
All right, good morning. Can everybody hear me?
You bet.
All right, good morning, board members. I'm Mike Asai with Emerald City Collective Gardens. I was there yesterday at the roundtable. Was very touching. Didn't get a chance to speak, so I just want to speak about that today or this morning. Once again, I want to give my condolences to the Jordan Brown family and his friends. Just very sad. Every time I see that young man's picture, I just think about my son and other youth like him. I'm not sure if he's African American, but he looks as if he's African American. He looks black or mixed with something. Race doesn't matter, but it's just very touching, even more for me, for a young man, especially considering if he's a young black man. The pandemic, and I just want to touch on a few things. The pandemic has led to a lot of pain in the BIPOC community. A lot of former medicals like me were out of the business. And so a lot of youngsters here are upset about that, considering the pandemic, the economics, considering the Black Lives Matter movement that was really strong 2 years ago. I feel that the youth, and I know this personally because I speak with a lot of them, they just feel that there's nothing being done when it comes to Black empowerment and Black justice. It just seems like it's just back to the status quo. And so I think a lot of youth are seeing this and they're just angry. I don't condone what's going on. Let me just say that. Emerald City Collective, Black Excellence, a lot of us, we don't condone what's going on with this violence. I do understand it, but we don't condone it. And I would just say that the best way to go about anything that you're upset was try to go through the courts. Senator Karen, I think Kaiser, I'm saying the name right. She's talked about levels of entry. You know, as I stated before, being being medical in the medical days, you know, we had 2 to 3 levels of entry at most locations. And as it's become recreation over the years, I've always kind of cringed, like, you know, wow, it's just kind of out in the open. You can see it from the outside. You know, and back in 2015 and 16, the LCB, they never met with medical dispensaries, to my knowledge, about security, because we were able to, you know, keep safe access. In 2014, there was a handful, I don't know the exact number, there's a handful of current retailers. They wrote a letter to the city of Seattle and Ed Murray, and they stated such things that were untrue about robberies, about unsafe access. They painted a picture about collectives, about medical dispensaries that was inaccurate, and it was very disrespectful. And I came across this information recently, and to see that we have current retailers stating things that were going on in the medical days that was absolutely not true. It was not robberies like it is now. As I said, we had levels of entry and security. And to see that the things that were stated back then are actually happening now. There were statements about we're able to use banking systems. Well, this is a big issue right now because we're not able to use banking systems. And
You have 30 seconds.
oh, okay. I'm gonna have to write this in then. So, but the cash is not only the problem. And just let me just at the end here, as I see that needs to go forward, armed security, as everybody agrees, some type of 2 levels of entry. The IDs need to be scanned, like in nightclubs and other venues, where if there's any issues later on, they can go back to see who came in. I know this is going to be a touchy issue, but right now it should be no mask worn coming into recreationals. Even though we've had a mask mandate, it should just be no mask. Casinos.
And Mike, that's your time.
I'm sorry. So just want to let casinos, when you go in, they tell you to remove your mask to put you on camera. Thank you for your time this morning. I will write everything that I had in more to say. I appreciate. Thank you. Take care.
Appreciate that. Appreciate your comments. And yeah, banks obviously pre-pandemic had the same rules. Can't wear a hat, can't wear a mask. So I appreciate the thought there. Go back and try Christopher King. You look live on the screen there, Mr. King. Are you speaking? We're not hearing you. Dustin, any hints on what we might try here?
Nothing outside of the double mute that you mentioned earlier. If he's trying to connect on a phone and his phone is muted, even though the application says that he's speaking, the phone's going to override that. So we need to make sure that your phone is off of mute, as well as the microphone on Teams is on, which it is currently. So outside of that, there isn't really much we can do from here.
Okay, we'll keep trying. And while you try, we'll move on to Libby Haynes Marshall.
And Chair, Libby did register to speak, but is not online with us today.
Okay. How about Kevin Shelton? Are you with us today? I see you there. Mr. Shelton, you're still muted on Teams. Yeah, Mr. Shelton, I can see on the team screen you're muted on the in the application in the Teams app. So I think if you clicked on the microphone icon at the top right of the screen, at least it's the top right on my screen, that might do it for you. Christopher King, I see you are unmuted, but we're unable to hear you as well. Mr. Sheldon's still muted. We're going to keep going, but we'll always come back and check again. The next person up is Jeremy Moberg. Jeremy?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can. Good morning.
Good morning, board members, Postman and Garrett. Thanks for the opportunity to comment this morning. A little under the weather. Excuse my voice.
Okay.
Regarding the CR 102 that was passed today, I hope that the allowable pesticides that have action limits, that issue is addressed. It's sort of an untenable situation to have allowable pesticides with an action limit with really harsh penalties for being over those action limits. So you're telling a farmer they can apply it according to the label and still run amok of the current rules. So that's been a long-standing issue, and I hope that the CR 102 addresses that. I'd also like to comment on the, I was recently visited by my LCB compliance officer actually yesterday, who collected pesticide samples at my farm. We've heard in our organization that many people have been visited, and we applaud this. This is the right way to have approached the pesticide testing issue. It's third-party sample. There's no cost to the industry, and it really cannot be cheated. We hope that the LCB continues to look at the CR 102 regarding pesticide testing and the impacts it's having on small businesses, small batch producers, and the fact that it relies on self-selection. The third-party approach is the right approach. The adopted rules with self-selection at the lot level are detrimental to small businesses, beneficial to large businesses, and we really hope that this can be addressed. I used to be a biologist, and as a biologist, we used adaptive management, meaning that we adopted actions, and then we saw what the effect was, and then we adjusted accordingly. And if we see that there's really no pesticides being found through the program should be reduced because the cost is heavy. I'd also like to comment on the expected canopy guidance that we're expecting from the LCB. This needs to come out really soon. People are currently planning. We're very encouraged by this. You know, for a long time, people did not think that the LCB enforced these canopy rules. They even built out pens to be 4 acres. We're very, very hopeful that this will lead to everybody playing by the same rules, everybody growing 30,000 square feet, and that could be help with the poor market conditions. All of this will be for naught if, as rumored, tribes are currently building out 1 million square foot production facilities and are able to sell to all 502 retail outside of the canopy. It is extremely unfair to regulate licensees under all these restrictions, including canopy, and then allow tribe through the tribal compacts, which, by the way, were negotiated without any input from licensees and are not really even understood by licensees, for those entities to be able to sell outside of the production limitations straight into 502 non-tribal stores. I hope that we can begin to have this conversation. We can assess what that impact is now that we see actual investment in, you know, extremely large 1 million square feet, which at the beginning of this industry was thought Jeremy, to be half of the production needed for the state. So it would be an untenable situation for these compacts to allow unfettered production outside the regulatory restrictions to compete with those that are under these restrictions. I hope we can begin to talk about that and what the impacts will be on producers. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. I'm going to finish the list here, and then we'll go back to those that we've had technical difficulties with. So Peter Manning is the next person on my list. Mr. Manning?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ms. Board, Mr. Postman and Ali Garrett, board member. I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, the camera's not. You guys have the camera off?
No, you should be able to be on the camera. I'm not seeing you though. I I don't know what's going on with the system today, but as long, if your camera icon is clicked
Yeah,
there.
it won't. It says something about I need to download some type of app, but it's fine. But
Okay.
anyway, I wanted to address the issues. I also attended the meeting yesterday, and this is what I think that we got to realize is I was involved in the cannabis industry since 2004. I had a bout with glaucoma. My optometrist prescribed. I was getting these infections from the topical solutions for my eyes and whatnot. But make a long story short, I became an active member in the legalized version in 2011. And then I had a medical dispensary in Seattle for quite some time. And I also was a grower as well. I never had any problems with robbery or anything. There was a good 3 years that there was no upset, no imbalances anywhere in that industry. I think that when the LCB took over and Black people were excluded, this kind of put an animosity between us and the community. I really believe I don't condone any actions such as robbery. I think we should deal with the situation through the courts. But the system's sick. You create this situation where the dispensaries can't put their money in the bank. They're a cash cow. You also have a system to where it's predominantly in Black neighborhoods that where Black people see these people making money, and they're not allowed or included in that. I personally think that the LCB should go out publicly in some platform, apologize to the Black community, and try to make amends and say, hey, look, we know this is not right. What's happened, we're trying to make amends for it. I think that would relieve some of the pressure, because the sentiment in the street is we weren't included, so they don't care. And that's not where we should be as a people, as a group. We should all work together and correct the wrongs, and we should probably make sure that to let our community, the Black community, know that there's a pathway that we're trying to make it work for all of us. And they're not really seeing that right now. So if there's some way we could kind of put something together, like a newsletter or something from the LCB, just to say, hey, we're trying to include everybody in the system now. And can we get a little bit more room and to stop the robberies? Can we have peace? That's what I suggest. Once again, I don't condone it. And I am happy with the system and how it worked. And I do support Ollie Garrett because I know her position. I know the journey she has taken to make things happen for us for the better. And I know that just because of years of experience dealing with her. I've seen some of the things she's accomplished to get us to where we're at. So I think people need to be more educated in that field too. Being that she's the only Black woman on the board, I think that they think she's Superwoman, but they need to understand that she has to fight certain barriers, just like we have to fight the barriers to get included in this industry. With that being said, I'd like to wish everybody a farewell and peace.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's go back and try Christopher King one more time here. Mr. King, if you want to try to disconnect and reconnect real quickly, you can do that while we try Kevin Shelton again. But then we're going to have to move on. Kevin Shelton, are you able to join us? Again, you're still muted on the screen. And we can't unmute that remotely, I'm afraid. At least I don't believe so. All right, I think that neither Mr. King or Mr. Shelton are able to connect here. Let me just take a second to try to address a few tiny things. I don't want to get into a long conversation about this at this point because we are still waiting for those two members of the public to have the chance to talk. Jeremy Moberg mentioned the tribal compacts. One, haven't heard that rumor. I try not to work on rumors. I don't know that there's any I do want to say though about tribal compacts. You mentioned that they were done without input from licensees or stakeholders, and that's correct. These are government to government negotiations. Tribes are sovereign governments, and they come to us in a government to government consultation and then negotiation to agree to those compacts. Some go easily, and if you've heard in some of these meetings, some of them take a very long time to come to an agreement. We have, I believe, 20 today. That seems high, but I think that's right. They've been successful and have I believe helped these sovereign governments take part in the industry in a responsible way. And the tribes have been very responsible members of the industry, I believe. And then just quickly, Mr. Manning, I always do appreciate your comments. I think the LCB has made very clear statements about the need to change the path, and largely, in the work that the agency did before I got here, going to the legislature and asking for a social equity piece of legislation led by Member Garrett. And supported fully by staff and other board members here, including our former colleague, Russ Hauge. There was a lot of pushback on it, and we continue to do that even up through this latest legislative session where our staff was working as close as possible with the sponsor of social equity bills, both the Community Reinvestment Act, which we helped get ready for this, and the other issues around licensing. So, and as we've talked before, we continue to do our licensing work regardless of what the legislature does. And there was a long listen and learn, which I know some of you were able to attend. I did not because Member Garrett was there for us. But we got our head down. We're doing it. We're working it. And we're doing it with the leadership of Member Garrett. Anything to add, Member Garrett, before I try these guys again?
No, you said it, and I want to thank Peter Manning for his comment. I was going to, with the comment from Sammy Saab, that I just wanted to clarify that after daily phone calls, and the way that he would normally state it that he did today is, I said, when I have something new to tell you, I will call you. You don't have to keep calling me. He didn't say it that way today, but that's the accurate statement. And our staff did personally call him in and met with him and went over his situation with him. Yeah. But thank you, and thank Peter.
Yeah, appreciate the clarification on that. Okay, we're going to make one last round here and see what we can do. Mr. King, are you with us? You are unmuted, but we're not hearing or seeing you. There's something amiss with your device connection to Microsoft Teams. Mr. Shelton, anything there? No. Okay. Well, my apologies for that. I'm sorry the two of you weren't able to join us today. As always, you can send us your written testimony, and Dustin will share it with Member Garrett and myself and staff. And we, of course, invite you to the next board meeting in 2 weeks as well to try again. And I will hope that we're able to figure out what's going on with this connection or lack thereof. Okay, with that, I'll thank everybody for their attendance and participation today, and we'll adjourn the board meeting for March 30th, 2022. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.